What is going on, everyone? You're watching my Fire Emblem 8 100% growths, low turn count playthrough in Ephraim's route. My name is Mekkah, and I've also dubbed this playthrough A Bored RNGod Plays FE8, and this intro is still way too long. This is the desert map. It's a pretty merciful desert map overall, even though it's a route chapter. Most of the enemies are not on the actual desert terrain, so we have very little desert crossing to do. And the little that we do have to do, we do have a couple of flyers to work with, so it's not all that bad. What we do have to do is get Archer a bunch of kills, because right now he is at about 20 magic. He had 18, but I gave him the energy ring. And he needs to hit 24 magic at least, I believe, by chapter 24, so he has quite some leveling up to do. And, normally I would get Franz and Seth involved in this massive massacre of all these enemies, but if I put them there, then the enemies for some reason prioritize them, even though their defense is higher. It might have to do with the fact that Archer does magical damage. Sometimes the enemies have weapon triangle, I don't know, but either way, I want to make sure Archer is the only one exposed to these enemies so that he can get as much EXP as possible. The Bishop EXP bonus helps him get a lot of level ups in this chapter. There's some promoted enemies that he gets to kill, and it's all going to end up just fine. His stats are very borderline when it comes to fighting the two Rangers and the Paladin that are in Valter's group. They're kind of tough to kill. He's pretty close to doubling the Rangers, but I don't believe he 2-hit KOs when using Lightning. When using Shine, he does 2-hit KO, but then he doesn't double because it weighs him down a little bit. Similar problem with the Paladin, he has too much HP / resistance to 2-hit KO. I do think he doubles though, but fortunately I get a crit somewhere that helps me a little bit with that. Kind of fortunate. Erica rejoins us along with two new allies, Saleh and Ines. Erica herself got auto level to level 10, which gave her a bunch of really good level ups, of course, because 100% growth does work with auto levels, so she can actually double and nearly one-round these mercenaries that she's near. Saleh is a pre-promoted sage with good enough magic to 2-hit KO and enough attack speed to double just about anything. And the most important thing about him in Erica's route is that he is one of the best staff users, if not the best one. He can get his staff rank to A in time for next chapter. But, that C base staff rank doesn't really work when you join this late in Ephraim's route, so we're not going to get him to warp, unfortunately, which sucks. I would have liked to have an extra warper, but I don't. So, he's going to be important for a couple of things, and one of these things is being able to one-round Wyvern Riders in this chapter, in the middle of the desert, as well as some stray enemies walking around there. Ines is not that important, especially not on this route. There's one thing he does in this chapter, that's about it. But Saleh is pretty good, and we're glad to have him. As you can see, Archer is really good and also pretty bulky for a Bishop, thanks to all these defense level ups, so he's going to be fine. Valter's group is the one that Archer is going to tackle mostly on his own. You can see that I put one of the Troubadours to sleep. These guys don't counter-attack you because they cannot attack you at all, and they also can't suicide on enemy phase. The reason I put them to sleep is so that if I was to take multiple turns to take out the promoted enemies with Archer, which could have been possible if I hadn't got lucky, then these Troubadours would move around and heal them with Mend or Physic, and that would have been pretty annoying, so that's why I put one of them to sleep on turn 1, and another one of them will be put to sleep on turn 2. And this really shows off why Sleep is easier to use than Barrier, even easier than Mend. I can use it on any place where enemies are even in a remote proximity. Get some staff XP out of it, more of it than Barrier in fact. And it also prevents these Troubadours from moving and screwing up my plans a little bit. I also filled Archer's inventory with some nonsense like a Night Crest and a Goddess icon, so that if I got an item on enemy phase, I could drop one of my lightning tomes, one of my light tomes. For example, if I wanted to switch from Shine to Lightning to maximize his attack speed and his avoid, I could do that. It didn't end up coming into play too much, but I actually wanted Archer to take a bunch of damage on turn 1 just so the enemies would prioritize him over Franz and Seth. Like I said, I have a bit of an enemy priority problem, but if he's on half HP, then the enemies will prioritize him. His chance of death isn't actually that high, because his defense is still so good that it takes multiple enemies to even hit him to take him down, and his avoid is also ridiculous. There's another group of enemies near Kalek's army. Kalek is a pretty annoying boss for fast players because you cannot crit him since he has a Hoplon Guard, which is the FE8 version of an Iron Rune. It stops crits from happening against him. But he can be hit by Pierce, So that's why Vanessa's going there, so she can just pierce him instead of crit. And that solves the problem pretty much by itself. Cormac went along originally with Vanessa to pick up the warp. That's near Killeg. There's only 2 desert items that are really important, the warp and the swift souls. Anything else is just gotten because I can more than that I just need to. As you can see, Salah picked up the swift soul pretty easily. In this game, desert items work off the regular RNG, unlike in FE7 and FE6, where there's like a special second RNG used to determine whether you pick up desert items or not. But in this case, I could just use regular RNG abuse to get the items I need. The warp staff is of course very important for skipping entire maps almost completely, or increasing mobility in some amounts, and Swift Souls to an extent is the same thing. It lets me fly over parts, because obviously they're going to Vanessa. I can already spoil that much. So yeah, what else is there to talk about in a route map with mostly enemy phase? I was just surprised at how easy this chapter was compared to the last one. This is really the home stretch of FE8 low turn counting. After the main route split is over, you get like the warp staff and it becomes just so much easier. And there's only like a couple of maps left with even remotely puzzling objectives. And it's really nice, actually. It's like a reward. It's like going on vacation after a day of long hard work. It's really nice. And Archer becomes a beast in this chapter. I think he gets like 5 level ups or something. It's absolutely amazing. Oh yeah, I didn't get a crit on the Paladin. He just happened to... I think I crit the Ranger, and because of that, he got a level up a little earlier than he would, and as a result, he actually 2-hit-KOs the Paladin with... I think it was Shine. So that made it a lot easier to get Archer in a position where I needed him to be. I'm slightly surprised that Vanessa still hasn't kept strength yet, to be honest. You'd expect that to go faster for someone who does that much work. This is Innes's only contribution in this chapter, is countering the Berserker. He has a hand axe and a dragon axe. And I think most casual players also like to make him use the hand axe in the way that I did, so that you can get the dragon axe, because they only drop the bottom item in their inventory. I don't think it's possible to clear this chapter any faster than I could, but it's one of the chapters that kind of makes me think a couple of times. I do it in 3 turns, but maybe with better use of Tethys you could get to some enemies before I do and get a 2-turn in that area. But the problem is you have to like 2-turn it in every area. You have to clear out every enemy. So, like, say I get Archer to where I get him a turn earlier, that still doesn't mean Vanessa is kill like any turns earlier. So yeah, Archer has exactly enough attack to 1-hit-KO Valter with a Shine crit. Of course, if you didn't get a crit on this turn, I could also get it on enemy phase. Maybe I can double it with Lightning. Valter is fast, but not fast enough to avoid being doubled by Lightning, I don't believe. Get the Feely Shield, which I don't think I ever really use. It's the same thing as the Delphi Shield. And there's also an Eclipse in that corner that I don't get. It could have been funny though, to get some boss kills using Eclipse. Although no one can really use dark magic like that on base, or at base. This is a funny RM burn just to get Pierce, but as it turned out, I brought Cormac along with Vanessa to pick up the Warp Staff, but then Vanessa just happened to pick up the Warp Staff right after killing Killeg, and I was like, what the hell do I do with Cormac now? So I just pick up Silence with Cormac instead. Not all that difficult. I never really used the Silence Staff. Important to note, not only did Archer hit A staves in this chapter with the 2 uses of sleep and a little bit of barriering, I also get Molder to A staves, and I didn't notice at that time, but that was also important for chapter 16. It turns out I actually need 2 warpers to do exactly what I need to do, even though only 1 warp is required to finish the chapter in the lowest number of turns. I remember being pretty surprised at how good Erica was when she returned here. She just one-rounds the Pegasus Knight. Normally in vanilla, you're like, oh my god, I need to protect Erica from these reinforcements, and here she just... It's more like she's protecting Inez from the reinforcements. I hope I'm not mispronouncing Inez too badly. Some people say like Inez, Ins, I don't know. But yeah, I could have killed at least 1 more enemy with Seth on this last turn, but I decided not to because I wanted to show off the cool risky strat I did with Archer. He is so low that enemies will prioritize him, even though enemies can avoid dying by attacking someone else. Most notably the Wyvern Rider, I don't think gets 2-hit-KO'd by like Javelin Friends, for example. And yeah, I sent the Shine to the inventory just to maximize Archer's avoid. And in case you missed it, Erica shows off her amazing stats on the second level up here. Probably already saw it. I remember Erica crit one of the mercenaries. That was unnecessary, by the way. I could have killed that mercenary with Inez, I believe, on player phase. He had a free turn. Or Erica had a free turn, one of those. Just in case you're questioning the reliability of my strategies, you know. So yeah, because Archer is so low, this Wyvern suicides on Archer, and his Shaman also has an Eclipse Tome. But he decides to attack Archer with Luna instead, even though he has like 0 hit. And that finishes up this chapter in 3 turns. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. I hope to see you next time. Talking is hard. Bye, guys.